Okay, I'm Rae Senarighi, he, him pronouns. I grew up making art. I mean, I can remember making art, as a small child. My mother was a really good artist. She wasn't lucky enough like me to go to school for art, but she was just naturally talented for it. And in the back of my mind, just knew that this was something that I wanted to do and that I wanted to create art, that somehow made the world a better place. Like that, coming out as queer, kind of figuring that out as a young adult took a lot of my time and energy. And I came out as a lesbian. It didn't. I didn't figure out that I was trans until I was in my early 30s and began transitioning. And then just a couple years after starting my transition, I was actually diagnosed with cancer, and surviving that was a really profound shift in my life. I knew that I needed to make art that was meaningful to me, and I got an opportunity to create a really large mural that was centered around the LGBTQ community, and so I did 6 portraits with that mural, and that's really what got me interested and got me thinking about making trans and non-binary portraits, because I love going to art museums. I try and do that every time I travel, and I've never just walked into a portrait gallery in an art museum and seen a trans person represented, and so that felt like this place where I could make a difference. It's really fulfilling. It's kind of like my heart's work. And then a few years ago, as the backlash against transgender visibility has increased, I began making work that was a little bit more quick for me to make. I needed a place to put, my reactions to what was happening and what I was seeing. And so I started making this floral typography artwork. And that also ties back to the surviving cancer part, because I also made a commitment to myself then that all of the art that I was going to make would be based in love. And so when I'm looking outside and I see all of this really terrible legislation being passed, these kind of bigoted, hateful things that are going around, it does make me angry and reactive and sad and all kinds of things. And so I take that energy and I, think to myself, what is it that I actually want to see? That has been an incredibly humbling and meaningful thing for me to put this artwork out that was really just for me, but having people really respond to it in the way that they have has kept me going and gotten me inspired to make more of it. So I think the biggest message is the "you are loved" message that's come out of that work. If one trans kid saw that message and got to hold on for another day, that is worth all of this. I put out this message really thinking about the kids who are struggling. Like, I struggled as a kid, but I didn't even know I was trans. I didn't have to go through what they are going through. And I just want them to hang in there. And me putting out this artwork was one thing. I created the art, but it's every single person who has donated to a billboard. It's every single person who is flying that from their flag, who has a bumper sticker, because their neighbors see that they care about them. And that's the whole thing, right? That is us working together to make the world a better place. And it's not something that one person can do, but it is something that we can all do collectively. Well, I think that the Born to Belong message makes so much sense to me, because it really does hearken to this like fundamental human thing, which is that we depend on one another, right? We don't live in a vacuum. None of us can do everything alone. We all need community, and we all depend on one another, whether we like it or not. And so I think leaning into that and understanding that we belong, and then welcoming in folks who maybe haven't been, given that sense of belonging. I think it means so much to create these spaces for folks. I think when somebody sees a message that I've put out there, I hope that they see that on somebody's car or they see that on their shirt, and that does help them feel like they belong. Like if you see a message like trans kids belong, and you've got a trans kid, all of a sudden you feel seen and welcomed, and like your kid belongs. And I just am incredibly grateful to be part of this movement, because I know I'm only a small part, and I'm really grateful for all of the folks on the ground, like the folks at the Dolores Project, who are doing the work that I can't do. All of us working together is how we make things happen.